Are financial markets getting stronger or weaker? Are we heading for a reversal or correction or rally? We can get the real-time news from the charts and understand the likely direction through the cheat sheet. Let's see what the cheat sheet reveals. And let's run the numbers. No matter what financial market you trade or invest in, synchronization is the key to profit. The cheat sheet, available free from CTKSMethod.org, gives you an incredible insight into where prices are actually going and removes the noise from decision making. There are 7 rows within the cheat sheet, row 1 through to row 7. It goes basically like this. Row 1, if it's increasing, that's bad for the markets. If row 2 is decreasing, that's bad for the markets. If row 3 is increasing, that's good for the markets, and we would expect row 4 to increase as well. Often, row 5 precedes all of the other increases, so we use row 5 as a triangulation for row 1, 2, 3, and 4. Row 6 and row 7 triangulate back to row 5. It's a little bit overwhelming at the start, but once you get used to it, you wouldn't look at markets any other way. This is how professionals look at financial markets, and it will give you an incredible edge. Combined with the CTKS method, it's literally a game changer. You will get X-ray vision into financial markets, and you can stop guessing, hoping, and praying. When we look at row 1, you can think of row 1 as basically the fear gauge of the markets. If fear is coming up, and of course the volatility index of the S&P 500 or the VIX gives us a very good indication if fear is entering or exiting the market. On the background, we have Bitcoin's price action. You can see the inverted or the inversion of Bitcoin follows the VIX particularly well. I'll just uninvert it for you. So if we see the VIX coming up, we would anticipate that Bitcoin and therefore also the main markets and stocks are actually coming down. So if we see strength inside row 1, we expect weakness inside the crypto market and also the stock market. Typically, what happens is when people feel fear inside the markets, they basically go to cash. Now, this is measuring that particular process of pulling money out of the market and throwing it into or under the bed or into the mattress. That's the way I like to look at it. So when the DXY comes up, that's usually associated with increased fear inside the markets. Now, when the DXY comes up, it's often associated with yields coming up as well, such as the 10-year and the 2-year. If the DXY comes up, usually the dollar-yen combo just follows. And the DXY coming up tends to push oil up as well. If you read any financial literature, they'll talk about yields and bonds and all sorts of things. You really need to know what they're talking about. And of course, the news is always old. If you want real-time news, you just throw open a chart and you look at price reality, because that's the reality. So we can see there's been some underpinning strength inside row 1. Now, what does this mean? We would anticipate that row 2 is actually weakening. Before we get into row 2, I just want to describe something that I've been seeing inside the VIX. If the VIX continues to spike up, and this is a good candle because it didn't just keep on going, we may be seeing something like this, but we've not had a change in trend just yet. So just be aware that the VIX could have upward price momentum. Now, if this is the case, row 1 will keep on going up, and that will favor a weakness inside row 2. So if the VIX keeps on going up, expect Bitcoin and the stock market to come down. So please bear in mind, the VIX is really quite important to look at this time. We use row 2 to gain confirmation over row 1, and when we look into junk bonds, that is clearly in a downtrend. This is negative. We want to see junk bonds breaking out of this downtrend and starting to go up, and that's really quite important. What about gold? Gold and Bitcoin, you can see Bitcoin is the blue line, And gold is, of course, the candlestick pattern. You can see that they're basically following each other because there's more and more narrative out there that Bitcoin is digital gold, and that's being accepted by retail investors and traders as well as institutional ones. And we know that gold and silver tend to hang together. They're like best friends. So when gold is coming down, we would expect silver to come down as well. So what are we seeing here? Junk bonds negative, gold negative, silver negative, the euro dollar negative, the Aussie dollar negative, and copper going negative. This means that the markets are under pressure. Of course, you could open the Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg and Reuters and anything you want, but why not just look at the charts? We've seen a confirmation that row 1 is gaining in power, row 2 is weakening. We would expect row 3 to go with row 2. Now, what is row 3 telling us? The S&P 500, what did it do? And what did Bitcoin do as well? Well, you can see it right here. It came down. What about the NASDAQ Composite Index, IXIC? It also came down. Dow Jones Industrial Average came down, but it was a little bit stronger than what we saw with the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. The Russell 2000 also came down, but we've seen a little bit of strength here. Okay, so what does all this mean? Row 1, risk is increasing. Row 2, decreasing. Row 3, decreasing. That brings us to row 4. If row 3 is decreasing, we would expect the subcomponents of the indices, such as Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, and Nvidia, to also be decreasing. And what actually occurred? Yep, they are decreasing. And certainly Microsoft got hit, and hit hard. What about Nvidia? They all got hit because they follow the major indices. And you can see how Bitcoin is a very good prediction on the direction of price momentum inside the major stock markets and stocks. Which brings us to the crypto market, which is row 5. Row 5, total crypto market cap, and we can see Bitcoin, that blue line. What is total crypto market cap doing at the current time? Well, actually, it's gaining into a degree of strength. You might remember in row 1, the VIX shot up and then decayed slightly. It actually did a cut under. If this is very significant, we'll find out. But crypto is telling us that risk on is actually coming back into the market. And of course, it's the weekend, so the stock market has gone to sleep. It needs to get its Z's, its beauty rest. Because row 1 is going positive, expect momentum to the downside and take advantage of that throughout the weekend. What about Bitcoin? And what is this line with Bitcoin? That's total crypto market cap. What is Bitcoin showing us? It's showing us a bit of recovery at the current time. It remains to be proven if it can sustain it across the weekend, but it's a good sign. What about Ethereum? What do we note on Ethereum? This is actually incredibly constructive price action. Don't forget, with the US presidential elections just really close at hand, we're going to get increased volatility. So we expect row 1 to increase, row 2 to decrease. And with row 1 increasing and row 2 decreasing, we expect the major indices to get hit, the subcomponents to get hit, and when we get to row 5, the crypto market to be hit as well. Now, if you were following the cheat sheet, you already knew this. Lastly, getting into MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is a kind of a bridge between the crypto market and the stock market, which means that Michael Saylor is he rides the waves of the stock market and also the crypto market, so just be aware of that. And you can see that this particular uptake was not so pronounced here because MicroStrategy is sitting inside the border of the stock market and the crypto market. And we saw from row 1 that the stock market got hit. One thing that we really like to look at is the underpinning strength of smaller crypto projects. That's why we have row 6 and row 7. At the moment, Litecoin is showing strength. Now, this can be a very good pre-indication if Bitcoin is starting to cross over and starting to do a change of trend. So it's a really good idea to look at Litecoin. As well, Bitcoin Cash does similar things to what Litecoin does. And at the moment, we can see that there's a certain degree of strength that's returning, but it's not as good as Litecoin. Litecoin is really light at the current time. Binance Coin measures centralized exchanges and basically people and their willingness to put money into the centralized exchanges to buy stuff because BNB gives trading fee discounts. We can see it's a little bit over, but not that much. Ethereum Classic, slight degree of repair there, but still early days. What I would suggest is keep your eye on Litecoin throughout the weekend. Now we're really digging into the engine of the crypto market inside row 7. And when we look at ADA, Cardano, we can see that it's very much like Litecoin. Look at this directional momentum. ADA is gaining in strength. So it's good to look at ADA and Litecoin at the current time. And you can see this divergence between Bitcoin, how it's worked, and Litecoin and ADA and how they have progressed out. Solana is in early stages of potentially turning around. What about Dogecoin? Dogecoin just went on a bender recently. Thank you, Elon. And we can see that that is also starting to turn around. Just bear in mind that your profit is made when you buy. So just be careful when you handle volatility across the weekend. Expect a potential consolidation, which is typically what happens. And then leading into Sunday, the market makers make their moves. So just bear that one in mind as well. Now, XRP, we can see, is just, well, it's all over the place, but it is following Bitcoin's gravitational alignment. XRP, of course, has been hit by the SEC. The SEC is making XRP their poster child for enforcement. And of course, XRP is gaining ground. What it means to us is that we have a certain number of charts showing us in real time. They're telling us the news. ADA and Litecoin are saying, hey guys, it's not as bad as what you might think. Always assume that negative price momentum is there. You want to take advantage of these tails whenever you can. Don't have a fear of missing out. All markets are intercorrelated and interconnected. If you're just inside the stock market, please make sure that you look at Bitcoin. Why? Sacré-Cœur, why should I look at Bitcoin? Well, check this out. If you were just investing in the major indices and you saw Bitcoin doing this cut under here, it was also showing you weakness and a potential sell-off in the S&P 500. But that would show that the other major indices were also weak and could be subjected to sell-offs as well. We know that whatever happens inside the US market happens globally. So it's very important to keep your eye on the major indices which are covered inside row 3 in the cheat sheet. And of course, make sure that you check out Bitcoin. For example, looking at the S&P 500, you can see that Bitcoin started to rally before the stock market really took off. You want to take advantage of signs like this because they're worth a fortune to you. If you're going through a life pullback at the moment, please know that our love and healing thoughts are with you. You're not alone, and the sun will always come out again, and there is always hope. Just like inside the markets, we always get pullbacks and also rallies. What you want is a positive excellence life trend. You want to grow in strength, understanding, kindness, and wisdom as you go through life. A lot of the times we're getting a pullback because you're getting set up for the next life promotion. But you just need to approach things slightly differently. Always remember that any loss inside anything, inside the markets and inside life, they're not personal, they're just learning experiences. It's helpful to remember that the universe wants you to succeed. It wants the very best for you and from you as well. It's very easy to be dedicated and committed when everything is going so well. But when you get a life pullback or a pullback inside the markets, that's the test. That's when the acid test comes in. Will you learn from whatever you went through, or will you repeat it again? It's always important to remember that the markets are not personal. They don't single you out and say, okay, you just bought, I'm going to sell. It certainly may feel like that from time to time, but that's just not the way that life works, and it's certainly not the way that markets work. A lot of people think that competition is the cornerstone of life. It is not. It's cooperation. If you put yourself into an adversarial position with the markets or life, you're always fighting, and you don't need to fight, because you just need to be the best version of you that you can be. Why bother trying to be someone else? Just be you. Nobody can do you except for you. Having said that, we know that life and also financial markets can get pretty dark. So if you're going through a dark spell, know that you're growing in strength, understanding, and wisdom. And also know that your life pullbacks are giving you the strength for the next life rally. If you didn't have the pullback, you couldn't gain the strength to take advantage of the next rally. So therefore, be always dedicated and committed. A lot of people think that struggle and strife and setbacks are just something that you can avoid. You can't avoid them. They're part of success. They're part of the journey of life. So therefore, you either win or you're learning. And that's all you have to do. We never blame as a community because blaming shifts the source of power outside of ourselves. What on earth would we do that for? And we always solve our problems with positive excellence. Positive excellence is so incredibly important. Remember, life is not adversarial, it is cooperative. So if you can show this weekend, if you can show kindness to those around you, you will see that it's a beautiful thing to do. But Ken, the people around me are not kind. If you look at life from a lens of understanding, it can change everything. Everybody is going through their own struggle. What's important is that you maintain your inner and outer peace. Now, why is this important? Because you have to make rational decisions. You don't want to make impulsive decisions or angry decisions. That's not good, especially when it comes to money. It's always important to respect financial markets and to respect life as well. Life is always there to grow your strength and help you out. Therefore, if you focus on learning humility and patience, you will literally turn your life around no matter where you are. But I was thinking this weekend could be a kindness weekend. We could just talk about kindness in the comments and see what you can do, which is a kind action to others. Kindness doesn't mean getting taken advantage of. No way, that's not what kindness actually is. Kindness always has strength and boundaries. And kindness actually is the fuel for not only happiness but also gratitude. We are always taught in this world to just be striving for more and more and more. If you get X dollars in profit, you should get 2X next time. Hey, we can be grateful along the path. It's the process which is important. In the comments, please let me know your thoughts on kindness and potentially some kind actions that we can show towards others and, of course, ourselves. But Ken, why are you talking about all of this stuff? I just want to make heaps and heaps of money. Well, you want to be happy and you want to be successful, and it's not a destination, it's a process. Okay. If it's a process, that means I got to keep doing it, right? Yeah, exactly. So you need this mindset to help you out because all results come from the mind, and a better mind creates better outcomes, and better habits create a better life. Your mindset is so incredibly important. Have a great day or night ahead, my friends, and Kate and I look forward to catching up with you again in the next video. Bye for now.